Alright guys, why is this titled My Magic Green Line? And it's just because of a chart setting that I use I want to share with you. It's been serving me really well. And RAX is a good example from today. Alright, RAX was very strong. RAX, a huge move here. These are 5-minute candles. I'll go to the daily real quick. You can see it was breaking out above this base on above average volume. Now back to 5-minute candles. This green line right here, if you look over, if you look up here, it'll show you what the moving averages are set at, okay? And so I have two green lines, a 24 and a 60, and I want to share with you why I have those on my chart and the reason I picked those numbers, okay? A lot of times a strong stock will bounce off of the 8-period moving average on 15-minute candles. Or if it gets through that, the next place we look for a bounce is the 20-period moving average on 15-minute candles. So that's what these green lines using 5 minutes. I have this big chart. This is the one I project in chat a lot. I usually have it set to 5s. I have other charts that populate set to 2s, 15s, 60s, and daily. Whenever I put a symbol on, they all populate. But the beauty of these lines, I can look at my big 5-minute chart here, and I know right where the 8-period moving average, which is where you're going to get a bounce on a strong stock, I know where it is. It's right at this green line. Okay, the 24 on 5s, if you do the math, coincides with almost exactly with the 8. They're figured based on on the clock, so there's going to be a little disparity, but they're very, very close. And so oftentimes, instead of having to look at a 15-minute chart, if this were to start to sell and say I've got to check and see where the 15.8 is, where the 15-minute candle 8-period moving average, you just look at this 5 and you know it's right here at the 24. Now look what happens. This gets a push down and it hits that green line, and I mean, look at this quick reversal. That's amazing. And it went up almost $2 from there. Now I'm not making this video to say I called it. I actually saw this after the fact, but I do look for this all the time. TPX from today. Now this is going to sound strange, and I'll show you the daily in just a minute, but TPX was breaking out as well. So this is another one I had on a chart. TPX comes down to this lower green line, which is my 60, which, as I said before, that coincides with the 20-period moving average on 15-minute candles. Okay, so I know that if I had 15s up here, this would be the area where the 20-period moving average is. So it's like an X-ray technique, if you will, without having to switch time frames or look at a different chart. Now, and this is what sounds weird, is look what happens. I usually look for a candlestick setup right there on a smaller time frame, like 1s or 2s, to catch a turn. But look what happens with TPX. Just right through it like a knife through butter, right? A hot knife through butter, I think is the saying. So now that it's through it, I still know that this is in breakout territory. Let me show you the daily real quick. Okay, so this is why it was on our radar. I had early big volume. You had this beautiful tight base right into the 200-day moving average. A recent, not a recent high, but a high from September. So you kind of have a big cup and handle, and then this big push through the 200-day. So all day long, I knew what the daily looked like. I knew we were in breakout territory. Now let's switch back to 5s. Now remember, a moving average is just an area to start looking for a turn. Okay, and again, this is where the 15-20 is. 15-minute candle, 20-period moving average. Well, it cuts right down through it. So now it just keeps bleeding. So at this point, this is a great candidate. The market was weak at this time too. This is a great candidate to watch for a bounce because of that daily chart. And right now, you've got people that are, who knows where they entered. Some people entered at the open. Some people might have bought this beautiful pullback here. I didn't see it at that time. And then you might have had some people buy it here as they think it's going to break through the high of the day, right? Or on this pullback here. So now it's working through some of those people, and people are going, man, did I screw up? And they can't take the pain, and it keeps going. And so that's where your selling comes from. They just, finally, at one point, this is going to turn. It actually hit the 100-period moving average 5-minute candles, which is something I don't use very often, but it's interesting how it got there. But when it looked like this, I just started looking for a 5-minute setup. I called this long for the room. I said the first break of a previous 5-minute candle's high, I'm long, and my stop's going to go below the previous candle's low. Look at this nice little baby kind of spinning top or doji candle right here. And so I called it long over this candle if the next candle broke it. All right, 36.71, 36.58 stop. That's only 13 cents risk. There's the trigger. And I mean, these are 5-minute candles. So in 5 minutes, you can see the volume coming back in. It's at 37. Look what happens. Closes at the high of the bounce. Almost gets to the high of the day. and goes up to 38.36, and a lot of celebrating on that one in chat today. But even though this didn't make the green line seem like magic, that's what put it on my radar. Okay, I started looking for a bounce when it got down to the 5, whatever that is, 560, which is the 15.20. Now keep in mind that's around 37.20. I'll switch to 15s just to show it to you. See how 37.20? See the red line? That's my 15.20. 15-minute candles, 20 period, and it's right there at 37.20. Switch back to 5s, and it's right there at 37.22. So they're very close, but I didn't get my bounce. So now, even though it didn't bounce at the green line, it also didn't give me an entry signal. So I still credit having these moving averages on the chart, for getting my attention when they get there. And then this push was just overkill. You know what I mean? That's what it was, just going through excess people, I guess. And stocks can do that, right? And so anyway, the beautiful 5-minute entry there literally caught, I don't know, a $1.65 move on 13 cents risk. So I've got tons of examples, and I'll make videos more often on these two green lines and how well they work. But you know what, TPX and RAX, well, TPX isn't a great example other than it put it on my radar, but and again, RAX is a great example of this flush and almost a $2 move off of there. Again, I could go through just from today and show you others, but in the interest of me wanting to get out of here and quit work for the day, I'm going to wrap it up. So we'll see you guys tomorrow.